All right. Greetings, gods and goddesses in training. Welcome back to the channel. It is Uncle Makara, all relations. Today, I'm doing a breakdown on meditation. Okay, I just got out of a meditation right now, and I'm going to be doing these recaps daily. So, today was day one, and of course, there's again a woodpecker outside my window. Okay, let me show you guys so you don't think I'm capping. I don't know if you guys can see that. Anyway, there's always a woodpecker coming in, right? Every day almost. And it's my wealth animal. So real interesting. Have you guys seen these ads which is like, don't use ChatGPT. There's a newer AI that's gonna work well for you. Like these ads are just atrocious, right? Like what are they doing with that? Anyway, let's get back on topic. Let's get back on track. So today's day one. Okay, my body was quite sore from the gym this morning, the chest day, and every fiber of my being got activated during this meditation process. And it was sort of like I felt like I was tearing something out of my etheric body, if that makes sense. Okay. And instead of avoiding it, I kind of sat inside it with no escape. And of course, the tone or frequency that I'm meditating to is a golden ratio frequency, which is the math of natural harmony, right? It's the mathematics of natural harmony in this universe. And so the cool thing is this has no kind of preset intention, right? So we can add our own intention. And my intention as Primal Sutra is that the to access the primal core, right? And this is what I was advised from our spirit guides or group of spirit guides called the NEXUS, okay? So the NEXUS recommended that we do this for the next 5 days until February ends. And if you would like access to this particular meditation, it's just a tone, it's just a frequency. You can become an adept, okay? And make sure you become an adept today to really refine this and fine tune this and get the accountability, okay? So resonance is settling into this harmonic frequency. So what I realized is like, okay, if I'm in harmony, the rest of my life has got to work in harmony too, right? My health, my wealth, my relationships, all of that stuff is connected to me feeling aligned and me feeling balanced, right? So I'm doing this not only to kind of share my experience, but also to inspire people to meditate, right? Because it's kind of a chore for a lot of people, I feel like, right? It feels like a chore. It feels like an extra thing to take off your to-do list. However, I think this can be exploratory fun, and as we start exploring our inner worlds more, this will actually start to enhance us and make us more, give us more clarity and so forth. So that's why I'm sharing today about this particular meditation. And again, just because my body is sore doesn't mean it's weak. It was information that was added, and it was the old structure breaking down. So I dropped into the golden ratio meditation, and I could feel this kind of friction between my physical strain and my stillness, right? And that tension within my body became kind of a fuel. My natural divergent brain likes to invent, likes to create things. And so during this meditation process, I found myself self-amusing a lot. And maybe that's my crutch. Maybe that's just a way that I hold presence, is through that playfulness, through a bit of silliness, um, feeling that softness within my inner child. You know what I mean? Like really not forcing it, right? Not pushing so hard, but to be the witness and to observe what is really happening in my mind, body, spirit complex. And then the tingle started for me. I noticed it sort of moving like bioelectricity underneath my skin. And the more I stayed still, the more I realized that it wasn't pain that I was experiencing. It was like my charge from my body was reorganizing, right? So all my nadis, meridians were slowly getting activated, right? And everything was kind of being filtered through this one frequency, this one tone, and it's a pure tone, right? So it doesn't change. It doesn't fluctuate. It just it's like tinnitus, right? It just So following that was quite interesting because I felt like there's something within my fascia that's been asleep for years that kind of just started to unbuckle itself a little bit. And that was probably the charge, like I said, the voltage that's just sitting there. There's a pressure in my head at first before I began, and now it's gone, or it's at least gone very less, right? So now to my occipital, I will do the occipital lobe exercise too today with the two tennis balls at the back of the skull. However, I'm right now just understanding that this process was very interesting to me. At one point, I felt like I could peer through my third eye. Very strange, very strange. But I could peer through my third eye, and then it was like plasma bodies or something, like amoeba type things. But it was like clouds. So it was like silky white clouds kind of in the sky, swirling like this into different patterns. And when I started to see that, I was just like, is this really happening right now, or am I tripping? Right? Um, so I kind of recalibrated myself, and throughout the points of the meditation, there are moments where, but to meditate with me, kind of audio that I pulled from. I think this guy's name was Banawin originally, but he had deleted this from his YouTube. But I had downloaded it just in time, the Pure Tone. It was such a powerful epiphany that I realized that this meditation didn't feel mystical in like kind of a fantasy way. It felt structural, right? Like my nervous system was sinking to some kind of a deeper pattern, more ancient, more mathematical, more harmonic, right? Not because it was easy, but day one actually, I think, showed me something. I do feel a bit refreshed right now, and like something has been reset within me, in my system, because it's like I entered a laboratory of sorts, and my soreness of my physical body became the material, right? And as an alchemist, I tried to do what I could to let the energy move as it needed to move. Now, I'm not trying to float all the way up to my body anymore. I'm also grounding down. So what I did was it's a waterfall and then a reverse waterfall coming from the Earth Star chakra or below my feet up into my physical body. So that was another weird visualization that just happened organically. I didn't plan that. I didn't say that, oh, this is going to be like this. But in the moment, that's kind of what came up for me. Okay. And again, it's I think the purpose today was an initiation, just to circulate the energy and kind of understand the voltage in my own body. And there were no kind of fireworks or extreme bliss. However, it's sort of like friction meets awareness type of feeling. All right. Like friction meeting awareness and awareness winning against the resistance. So I can already tell this isn't going to be about chasing sensation. It's all about coherence and acclimatizing myself with this frequency, right? So this was the challenge, and I experienced it very uniquely. I experienced it very uniquely because it kind of felt luminous to me. In a certain way, it's quite annoying to listen to a high-pitched tone in your ears, right? So there's another factor of it being kind of annoying or irritating, where your inner anger starts to kind of rise up. But as it starts to rise up, it's almost like I let that rage or that sensation be filtered through into that tone that I'm listening to. It reverberates and cleanses it, almost like putting something into a purifier, right? And then there's smooth air that comes out and it filters out the dirty air, right? In a certain sense, it's like an air purifier kind of technique, I guess you could call it. But anyway, and by the way, I have a background in meditation. I've probably started to meditate from when I was in my early to mid 20s. very deeply. I mean, there would be like little moments of scattered meditation back earlier, but that's when I actually started to understand the mechanics of it and why it's necessary for me to go into it. But I've lost kind of my meditation practice over the years. It happens every week, a couple times. However, I wanted to gain the momentum again. And so the Nexus, my group of spirit guides and the Primal Sutra group of spirit guides, they started to challenge me. They're like, if you're really this flow master that you say you are, why can't you meditate for 5 days? Right? And I took that on as a challenge and I decided to kind of go all in with my meditations, not like half-ass it, not like, kind of dabble in it and then do something else. No, I'm going to fully immerse myself, right? And I think this immersion process is actually quite important for us, especially as adepts, right? Because we could always kind of just like fake our meditations, right? Like, oh, day one is completed, right? I did it when you actually didn't do it, right? A lot of people can bypass that, use spiritual bypassing and actually avoid meditation, which is actually not a great thing because you're just, I mean, you're not acclimatizing to that frequency or your golden ratio body in a certain sense, right? Because you have a natural body that's very aligned with natural harmonic tone and frequency. But we can't access that through the day to day. We just have to access that through a specific protocol or something like that, right? Someone will use some other technique or find some guru, or they'll go to some ashram, or they'll try to find their very specific way of meditating. Maybe some people prefer dynamic or walking meditations or more movement-based stuff. Other people just love sitting in the silence and so forth. So this is the one that I found really works for me. And sometimes I like to switch it up with, of course, listening to different frequencies, but this time, like, hey, just make it this specific pure tone of 432 hertz, golden ratio frequencies. And it's one pure tone, so it's like an isochronic, I believe, but I'm still listening to it through headphones. I can listen to it through speakers too, but I really like how would I say this? It helps my clairaudient self to focus in on one tonality, if that makes sense, okay? Instead of various shifting music, like, a lot of frequencies that we listen to are just like they have variances, right? It's kind of like listening to a song, so there's still that entertainment of like, oh, the music is changing. Here it's just one tone, right? It's like, so when is this going to end? When is this going to change? It's not, right? That's the thing. You have to let go and go into a timelessness, even though it's like 20 minutes, I'm doing it daily, around 20 minutes, 15 to 20. Um, even though I'm trying to do that, right? There's still going to be a benefit, right? Because you need at least 15 minutes to get into flow state, okay? So if I am accessing this flow state every day, right, and I'm getting more embodied with my practices, it's actually going to heal my core wound to a very specific extent. So right now, when I'm feeling like I've doubled down on this challenge, and today's only the first day. However, let's see how this goes, man. I feel at least less of a buzzing in my head that was going on in the beginning. So clearly some very annoying beings left or something. I don't know what happened there, but anyway, something left through the back of my ears and just kind of flushed out like that. What's up, Ryan G? So I'm just telling the people about our meditation process and how we have to end Freedom February very strong, and just noticing the side effects of this thing because I just got out of that meditation. I think what's also interesting is noticing that not every part of my body, experience, thoughts, emotions has to be fine-tuned and zoomed into as I'm meditating, right? Like there's a random thought of like, okay, I'm in my office right now. There's people sitting outside the door, right, waiting in the waiting room. There's noises outside. There are birds chirping outside, right? There's lots of things going on. There's a woodpecker sitting on my window, right? So there's distractions and different things all around me, but I can still stay in that one tone and keep going back to that tone. And it's almost like the way I saw it was like, okay, let me just surrender to this tone, right? Let the tone do what it needs to do for my system to start to recalibrate to it. So I think what I observed was like when I first started, so I actually didn't use this. I usually use this to meditate on. I didn't use it this time. Just sitting in my chair straight back, fingers sort of side to side like this. I like this thumb touching kind of thing. Sometimes it's like this, other times I like to just connect the thumbs. For some reason, this is very potent, for me at least, because I can stay in this pose for a very long time, I've realized. And with other poses, sometimes not so much. So you guys can practice this and maybe try it lying down, but don't fall asleep. That's the thing, right? My dad always taught me when you're meditating, you're feeling hella sleepy. You have to keep your eyes very slightly open so that the light can shine in to keep you awake, right? A little bit, kind of like the Buddha eyes or the Shiva eyes, right? So keeping that awareness alive, of course, and you can even do this standing if you'd like, how or go for a walk and listen to it. But I would practice it just for 5 days, sitting down, normal. And then afterwards, you can just do it however you want it, right? Do it at different times, maybe do it once a week, as Ryanji was suggesting. Um, so yeah, I think it's a powerful one. It's just that don't make the tone too loud, make it maybe low to moderate level, just enough where it's kind of like audible, but it's not so audible that it's annoying to your ears. But keeping it in the background helps to have an anchor, right? Something to go back to. I remember when I learned TM, they always taught us to go back to the mantra, right? Whenever your mind would get distracted from it, you go back to it. So it's kind of like this cycle that keeps happening, right? Distraction, back to mantra, distraction, back to mantra. And I think that similar process happened for me during this meditation where I had to go back to tone, back to frequency, back to frequency, back to frequency, right? And that's a very interesting way to go about this because a lot of people they try to overcomplicate meditation, whereas you are meditation, right? That's the thing. We are this natural state of harmony and beingness and tapping into pure golden ratio, natural tones. I mean, that is our natural selves. Um, I think what's going to happen, and this is just a prediction, is the performance or that need to impress nature is going to fall away with this meditation. Because if I'm aligning myself to natural, pure golden ratio tones, I'm just going to be natural. I'm not going to be unnatural as I meditate to that, right? So I think that what's going to happen is all the falsehood is going to start to fall away, right? As we were speaking about in our podcast yesterday, you guys should check that out, right? Like above courage is truthhood and below courage is falsehood, right? So this is a year of courage, and I think we all need to encourage each other to be able to kind of keep this energy alive within us, this leadership momentum, this not so much like I'm saving the planet, but more so I'm a steward of consciousness. I'm a steward of higher consciousness. I am a Sherpa, right? Of higher frequency. Okay. So start to recalibrate this towards like, okay, I'm not here to save everybody. But what I am here to do is show up and lead by example as my best self, and others who are in that similar frequency will also start to wake up and remember their God self, remember their true self. Because that's really what we're doing is we're just activating spiritual memory again, right? And if we start to meditate and realize I am this meditation, it is not separate from me. It's not like a little activity that I do where I'm sitting down in silence and focusing on my breath. It's actually like, and at certain points of the meditation, this guy just take well, the recording. Shows this guy like you hear that in the background, right, of the meditation. And so it kind of tripped me out at one point because I was like, should I breathe with him? Should I not breathe with him? Um, should I create my own deep breathing process, perhaps? Maybe I should play around with breath work. Maybe I should do, and then my mind kind of got distracted into another place. And then I had to kind of bring it back to the tone, back to the tone, back to the tone. And eventually it's kind of like a tornado, right? It's an upward spiral tornado. Um, I mean, we also have to constantly refine our own techniques, but there's no room for micromanagement when you're meditating. It's really an interesting experience, you know? I mean, it feels kind of good to do a very super long meditation. However, I think that there's a power to just doubling down, going all in on something, right? Of course, there's going to be benefits to that. Of course, there's going to be benefits to doubling down on everything in terms of meditating. Like, let me give it all of myself, right? Now, did any of the Primal Sutra Nexus show up? Probably. Probably some of my guides showed up during this because I felt like a lot of work was being done with my solar plexus chakra and a little bit attunement around my throat. I also noticed a little bit of almost like someone was picking out gunk from my astral or my aura signature. Like someone was just pulling out stagnancy and little, they were cleansing up my aura and stuff like this. And I didn't focus on that too much, but it's kind of happening as I was listening. And the thing about it is, my during the beginning of this process, my lower chakras did not feel active at all. Okay, my higher chakras did because I felt a pressure in my third eye and my head area. So what I did during the meditation is I kind of took that energy, I peered it out, and then sucked it back in, and then sent it down my chakra points all the way until it flushed out of the bottom of my feet into the Earth star. And then from the Earth star, connecting to the roots of the center of the Earth and the black sun at the center of the Earth, connecting to that energy and bringing that up through my legs, and then connecting to the higher sun above, and then, right, oversoul, undersoul connection, and then sort of just creating a bridge between both of them like this, right? And just interchanging, right? And I asked Ryan G to actually make this a very powerful artwork. And we are going to activate that light code today for adepts. So yeah, if you're not an adept, by the way, already, go to primalsutramysteryschool.com. Okay, that's where we have the major tech, and you can actually follow along with us. Okay, it's just a monthly membership of 99. If you can't afford that, then talk to us. Maybe we can create a payment plan of some sort for you or something different. But we're adjustable beings. But again, it's like you got to understand the quality and the calibration that it takes to stay in an echo chamber like this, right? And we're also doing our own work and jobs, and we're fine-tuning our families, and we're understanding that this isn't just about us, right? This is about the impact and the ripples that we leave across the planet. So when we're meditating for ourselves, we're also meditating for the collective, right? And if everybody can join in on this frequency of this meditation and this understanding, it's like we are going to raise the energy of the planet no matter what, right? We're going to step into higher consciousness no matter what. And I think that's going to be a very powerful realization. You guys can understand and actually feel that my solar plexus is opened up and my throat chakra is opened up, and now the bridge between both of those, like the confident vocalization, is coming out strong now. Right? I don't have to really think about what I'm saying. It's just like I'm saying it type of feeling, which is great, and exactly what my intention was before I sat down for this. So it's cool to always set an intention, guys, before you do anything. Um, Especially because it's such a pure tone that anything can be imprinted on top of this, right? So if you're like, I want to get a really good body or whatever, right? It's like, oh, cool. Um, that's going to be, a powerful way to uh, calibrate this, right, to a whole different level. Angie says getting wood for the planet. Yeah. So th this tone tries to align us towards the harmonics of nature, right? Nature's code. So nature's code is, of course, the Fibonacci spiral, as you know, the golden ratio. If you've ever seen this kind of spiraling golden ratio energy. And by the way, golden ratio is also 888 in the gematria, and Primal Sutra is also 888. Just saying, just putting that out there, okay? Because there's always a connection and correlation to these things. Like they end up happening very organically. But yeah, guys, today is day one. I think I went on for a while, huh? Recapping this. Yeah, almost half an hour. All right, so how do I say and wrap up with this? Well, today was just my first experience, right? So it wasn't like super big epiphanies or anything like that, but it did feel ancient. It did feel refreshing because it was aligned, and it did, not because it was easy, but it showed me that I can use my muscle soreness as material to play with during my meditation, right? Instead of it being this annoying factor or this obstacle. Remember, the obstacle becomes the way, right? So every time it's like whatever comes up gets sent to source, sent to source. And I think that practice can happen organically through this kind of meditation, right? Whenever distractions come up, it's like I send it to the tone, send it to the tone, and that energizes and recycles that energy into a potency. And actually, if you have a very divergent brain, you will naturally start doing things in this visualization meditation, right? You'll start doing certain things that organically uplift you in a certain sense, right? So you might imagine like what I imagined is like someone pulling out like things from the back of my head. How would I describe this? It wasn't like a monkey picking up, uh, dandruff or something like that from the hair. It wasn't like that, but it was more like the back of my head was getting and it was just like falling out these little kind of prickly things. I don't know what it was exactly. But kind of like super, like those super prickly fruits type thing. That I kind of felt like that in a certain sense, or those spiky massage balls. Like many of them just came out of my backside. And backside, remember, is all shadows, right? The back of our body is shadow feminine, front of our body is more yang masculine, right? So from the back, it's like, oh, all the shadows are getting revealed. And then they're getting recycled again. Send it to the tone, send it to the tone, right? And every time this would be an activation process because I noticed that my energy when I started the meditation was up here, right? And then by the end of it is down here. And I think that was my purpose mainly, is like to get out of my head and into my experience again, into my truth, into my will, right? Because with the will, with the feeling and the thoughts, you can change your reality, right? So if your thoughts are saying one thing and your will is doing another thing, right? And your feelings or emotions is somewhere else, there's no alignment with that, right? And you can't really manifest like that either, right? So it's got to be feeling, will, and thinking. They've got to be on the same boat, right? Have them be on the same boat. So if I think I'm the greatest cricket player on planet Earth, as an example, I'm just seeing the cricket outdoors, so I'm just using that as an example, let's say, then your will, once you have that thought, I'm the greatest cricket player on planet Earth, your will then moves you to show up to cricket rehearsal or whatever, right? Like go to the games, train, right? It gets you to move. And then as you start maybe hitting those, you know, fours or twos, I don't know exactly cricket terminologies, as you start just pow, right, hitting it out the park. Now that action or that will is making you feel something. That aligns back to your original thought, I am the best cricket player on planet Earth, right? So that's how, right, it starts with the thought, but then it becomes a emotion, and then you take an action on it, and then there's another emotion, and there's another thought, right? So it keeps cycling through this. And our inner worlds are constantly being bombarded with random intrusive thoughts that aren't even our own, right? We could be in a dangerous or sketchy or dark environment and actually absorb some stuff that is not even ours and feel paranoid and threatened and start to project onto the world. This is common when we don't have that kind of certainty with what we're doing. But I think that once we go into any practice and we make it our dojo for us, that's when we really start changing and seeing the changes within our own character. So, anyway, guys, this was just an inspiration. Remember to go all in on your meditations. Remember to double down on yourself as a character. And I'll see you on the other side, okay? I hope that this helps you out today. I will recap day 2 tomorrow. Have an incredible rest of your day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. Upward spiral gang to infinity and beyond. Ryan G, if you can also um, tell the adepts about how you experienced the meditation too and what came up for you during it. Okay. All right, brother. All right. Thank you guys for tapping in. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. You got this. We got this. Upward spiral gang to infinity and beyond. Let's keep winning. You already know what it is. Upward spiral gang.